the year 1056 before Christ, a man named Uzzah reached out his hand to steady a golden chest. The oxen stumbled, the cart lurched. He intended only to help, and within a breath, he fell lifeless to the ground. This was no ordinary object. For 3,000 years, it has remained in memory as one of the most feared and revered sacred artifacts known in biblical history. Touch it without authorization, and death followed instantly. Seize it as a trophy of war, and devastating plagues struck entire cities. Lift the lid to look inside, and 70 men fell in a single moment. Kings trembled before it. Armies retreated from it. Priests approached it only once each year, and some did not return. Then one day, it disappeared. No grave, no relic, no explanation. What was this object? How was it made? Why was it regarded as supremely holy? And where is it now? This is the historical and biblical account of the Ark of the Covenant. The year was 1446 before Christ. The place was the wilderness of Sinai. Israel had just witnessed extraordinary events beyond natural explanation. They saw the Nile River turn to blood. They crossed the Red Sea on dry ground, with walls of water rising on either side. They stood at the foot of a mountain enveloped in fire. Thunder rolled. Lightning split the sky. Smoke rose like a furnace. The mountain shook violently. Moses declared, as written in the 12th chapter of Hebrews, verse 21, "I am trembling with fear." Moses ascended alone into the blazing cloud and remained there 40 days. When he descended, he carried more than tablets of stone. He carried a pattern revealed to him. The Lord instructed, as recorded in the 25th chapter of Exodus, "Make everything according to the pattern I showed you on the mountain." Moses did not invent this design. He witnessed a heavenly reality. Moses was a shepherd called into prophecy, not a craftsman. Therefore, the Lord appointed Bezalel, whose name in Hebrew means "in the shadow of God." Bezalel is the first person in Scripture described as being filled with the Spirit of God for craftsmanship, shaping wood, working metal, and creating sacred art. Alongside him labored Aholiab from the tribe of Dan, one of the least honored tribes. The royal and the ordinary worked side by side as the sacred structure arose from all the people. Why would the infinite and omnipresent God require a box? The heavens cannot contain him, as declared in the 6th chapter of 1 Kings, verse 27. The ark was never meant to contain God. It symbolized his footstool, the appointed meeting place where heaven and earth would symbolically meet. In the 25th chapter of Exodus, verse 10, the dimensions were specified: 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. In modern measurement, this equals approximately 45 inches in length and 27 inches in width and height. It was not massive, about the size of a large chest. It was constructed from acacia wood, known in Hebrew as shittim wood, valued for its durability and resistance to decay in harsh desert conditions. The chest was overlaid inside and outside with pure gold. Even the unseen interior required purity, emphasizing integrity from within. A golden molding formed a crown-like border around the top. The lid was called the mercy seat, from the Hebrew root meaning to atone or to cover. The mercy seat was made of solid gold. At each end stood cherubim, formed from one single piece of gold, with wings overshadowing the center. Beneath the mercy seat lay the tablets of the covenant, representing divine law. Once each year, on the Day of Atonement, sacrificial blood was sprinkled upon the mercy seat, as later written in the 2nd chapter of James, verse 13. Mercy triumphs over judgment. The ark symbolized the meeting of justice and mercy. In the stillness between the outstretched wings, the presence of God was understood to dwell, not confined, but graciously choosing to meet his people there. The Lord said to Moses, "There, above the mercy seat, between the 2 cherubim, I will meet with you." Not inside the box, not within the gold, above it. The ark was a footstool. The true throne was unseen, the space above the blood-sprinkled cover. There, the Shekinah glory was understood to dwell. Judgment and mercy met upon that golden surface, and mercy prevailed. The 9th chapter of Hebrews, verse 4, records that during the wilderness years, 3 sacred items rested inside the ark. First were the 2 stone tablets, the 10 Commandments, described in Exodus chapter 31, as written by the finger of God. These tablets formed the covenant foundation of Israel's relationship with the Holy One. They represented moral law and divine authority. Second was a golden jar of manna, preserved as commanded. It reminded Israel of divine provision in the wilderness, but also of human doubt and complaint. Third was Aaron's rod that budded. After Korah's rebellion, 12 staffs were placed before the ark. By morning, Aaron's staff had sprouted, blossomed, and produced almonds, confirming chosen authority. 3 witnesses rested within the chest: the law that exposed sin, the bread that sustained life, and the rod that affirmed divine appointment. Nearly 5 centuries later, Solomon placed the ark inside the temple. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 9 records that nothing remained inside except the 2 stone tablets. The manna and Aaron's rod were no longer present. Scripture does not explain their disappearance with certainty. By Solomon's day, only the tablets remained within the ark. The ark was never intended as storage. It functioned as an altar, the sacred meeting place between God and his people. Once each year, on the Day of Atonement, the Holy of Holies was entered by the high priest alone. For the rest of the year, it remained sealed and undisturbed. The high priest underwent ritual purification and wore simple white linen garments. He carried incense and sacrificial blood into the chamber. Incense smoke filled the room, covering the mercy seat, as described in Leviticus chapter 16, so that he would not die. The clouds symbolized protective mercy. He sprinkled blood upon and before the mercy seat 7 times, symbolizing completion. The law beneath called for justice. The blood above signified atonement. The Greek term hilasterion, used in Romans chapter 3, verse 25, describes this atoning concept. Year after year, blood was applied until fulfillment was understood through later Christian teaching. When the ark moved, events followed. At the Jordan River, priests carrying the ark stepped into the water. The river stopped, and the people crossed on dry ground. At Jericho, Israel marched with the ark for 6 days. On the 7th day, after 7 circuits and trumpet blasts, the walls fell. The event was attributed to divine intervention rather than military force. At the Battle of Ebenezer, Israel was defeated and the ark was captured by the Philistines. It was placed in the temple of Dagon in Ashdod. The statue of Dagon was found fallen before the ark. The following day, it lay broken. Subsequent plagues afflicted the Philistine cities of Ashdod, Gath, and Ekron. After 7 months of suffering, the Philistines returned the ark, recognizing that it symbolized the authority of the living God rather than a mere object. The Philistines said, "Send it away before it destroys us all." In fear, They crafted golden images of their tumors and rats, 5 of each, and placed them beside the ark as guilt offerings. They set the ark on a cart drawn by 2 cows that had never been yoked, separated from their calves. By instinct, the cows should have turned back, yet they walked straight toward Israelite territory without turning aside. Years later, King David sought to bring the ark to Jerusalem. Celebration filled the air, but when the oxen stumbled, Uzzah reached out to steady the ark and died instantly. The law in the book of Numbers required the ark to be carried on poles by the Levites. It was not to be transported on a cart or touched directly. Obedience was essential in matters of holiness. 3 months later, David followed the prescribed instructions. The Levites carried the ark on their shoulders. David wore simple linen and rejoiced before the Lord with humility. For more than 400 years, the ark remained in the Holy of Holies in Solomon's temple. Priests ministered before it until the Babylonian invasion brought devastation. In the year 586 before Christ, Babylon destroyed Jerusalem. Temple treasures were recorded as taken, but the Ark of the Covenant was not mentioned among the captured items. The absence of any record regarding the Ark led to centuries of questions. Its fate was not documented as destroyed, seized, or remained preserved elsewhere. No claim has been made to the whereabouts of the lost city remained preserved elsewhere. No claim has been historically verified. The prophet Jeremiah wrote in chapter 3, verse 16, that a time would come when people would no longer speak of the Ark of the Covenant or remember it. This declaration suggested that the Ark would no longer be central, not because it lacked importance, but because its purpose would be fulfilled in a greater way. In Revelation chapter 11, verse 19, the Apostle John describes seeing the Ark in the heavenly temple, portraying it as part of a greater spiritual reality. The earthly ark was understood as a representation of divine presence. Its significance pointed beyond itself toward deeper spiritual meaning. The mercy seat symbolized atonement. Christian teaching later associated this imagery with Jesus Christ and the concept of redemption through sacrifice. The ark represented a meeting place between divine holiness and human need. Over time, belief shifted from a physical object to a spiritual understanding of God's presence. The narrative invites reflection on the ark's historical, theological, and symbolic meaning within both Jewish and Christian traditions. What aspect of its purpose stands out most to you?